police. I don't want to have to make a police report because you are the father of my child, but I don't really know what to do. So, and they all, like, when I'm trying to call the police, they're like dragging me out of my car and covering my mouth, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do at that point.
Now recently, Atlanta rapper Playboi Carti dropped his highly anticipated I Am Music album, the follow-up to his 2020 release Whole Lotta Red. One of the standout moments was Kendrick Lamar's feature on the project. This sparked an interesting conversation with some people questioning Kendrick's decision to collaborate with Carti given the rapper's past controversies. In that video I made over a week ago, we focused on Kendrick and his choice to associate himself with Carti. And now in today's video, let's shift the focus. Is Playboi Carti a good guy, a bad guy, or something in between? Want to cover two of the more controversial stories involving Carti himself, which has led to a lot of people questioning his character. By the way, currently recovering from a sickness, guys, so that's why there has been a lot of videos this past week. My head and my throat is still kind of killing me right now, to keep it real, but I'm still trying to, push through for you, okay? So if I'm a little low energy for this one and the next few videos, that explains it. I say that to say I'm still on the mend. By the way, what y'all think about this new haircut, man? Looking kind of crisp. I personally like it, but y'all let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, let's keep talking, okay? Now, Playboi Carti is a 29-year-old rapper from Atlanta who's been successful on a mainstream level since 2017. He's been in the game for some time now, and over the years, Carti has built a very loyal fan base, and his influence on the rap game can't be ignored. But aside from his musical success, Carti has earned a reputation as a controversial figure, particularly when it comes to his character. From claims of being a deadbeat father by his former girlfriend, Iggy Azalea, to his arrest in December 2022 on felony charges for allegedly choking his pregnant girlfriend. Carti's personal life has been filled with controversy. Carti certainly has a tumultuous history, and today, I want to dive into the darker side of his image. Let's start with the first story, the claims made by Iggy Azalea, who accused Playboi Carti of being an absent father. And let's take a deeper look into their complicated relationship. Iggy Azalea, a 34-year-old rapper from Australia, has had several major hits in her career, with Fancy being one of the most recognizable ones. While Iggy found success early on and carved out a path for herself, her relationship with Carti has become one of the most talked about aspects of her life. In September 2018, Playboi Carti met Iggy Azalea while he was on tour overseas. Their connection was immediate, and things moved incredibly fast between them. At the time, Carti was living in Los Angeles, fully immersed in his rising music career. As their relationship moved extremely fast, Carti and Iggy decided to take things to the next level and moved in together. As their relationship progressed, it was clear that both of them were deeply infatuated with one another. They were often seen spoiling each other with extravagant gifts and admiration. One of the most notable moments came during Christmas of 2018, when Iggy brought Carti a sleek black Lamborghini Huracan, a lavish gesture that solidified their relationship in the eyes of the fans. Carti spoke very highly of Iggy, often expressing his admiration for her and being an avid supporter of all the endeavors she pursued, including her music. He seemed genuinely invested in her success, regularly speaking out in favor of her work. However, their relationship was strictly personal, and despite their close connection, Carti made it clear that they were not collaborating musically. According to Carti, they kept their professional lives separate, focusing only on their personal bond. Carti also shared that as soon as he began talking to Iggy, he made a significant decision to cut off all of his other romantic interests. He said, "Once I started talking to her, I just cut off everybody. It was over with." As their relationship continued to progress and everything seemed to be going smoothly, things were going so well that by June 10, 2020, Iggy revealed that she had given birth to a child. Although she initially chose not to name the father at the time, people quickly, of course, figured out who the father was. Their relationship seemed solid at this point, with Carti and Iggy continuing to share their lives with fans. However, things quickly took a turn, and by October 2020, their once strong relationship had soured, and they were no longer together. Despite the early happiness and the arrival of their son, the couple's bond started to deteriorate, leading to their split just a few months after Iggy's announcement. In fact, the then 30-year-old Australian rapper revealed that she was now raising their son, Onyx, alone. She made it clear that she and Carti were no longer together, confirming that she was doing it all by herself. Now, Iggy initially broke the news with a very powerful statement saying the following: "You lost a real one." And then she went on to explain her feelings, saying, people take loyalty for granted, and that's why I'd rather be alone. And Iggy's words painted a picture of frustration and disappointment with the relationship. But Iggy didn't stop there. She doubled down on her claims, accusing Carti of being a liar. She said, "One thing I'll never understand is how liars live with themselves. That shit don't eat y'all up inside." And it was clear that Iggy felt betrayed by Carti and that, she was very hurt by the whole situation, and that's why she was speaking like this, right? Now, people started speculating, did they break up or what? Like, what's the status here? And Iggy decided to confirm it, putting all the rumors to rest when she said, What I meant last night is that I'm raising my son alone, and I'm not in a relationship. However, shortly after this, Iggy walked back her comment. She clarified that Playboi Carti isn't completely absent from their son's life. She explained, "Nothing I said was intended to make it seem like my son's father isn't part of his life, but I've noticed a lot of people took it that way, so I wanted to clear the air." She continued, "Onyx is so loved by his dad and has always had both parents in his life from day one." However, just a few months later, on December 25th, 2020, with the release of Whole Lotta Red, Iggy Azalea slammed Playboi Carti hard. She doubled down on the deadbeat allegations and took shots at him over several other issues, making it clear there was no love lost between them. One of the many claims Iggy made was that Carti cheated on her while she was pregnant, saying, "Imagine not flying out your family on Christmas, but you have the girl you cheated on me with the entire pregnancy at your album party, and suddenly me and my son can't come for Christmas anymore. Trash. Too bad you got an album out but can't even come to Christmas with your own son," Iggy stated in a follow-up tweet. Now, what apparently made Iggy snap was seeing a post from a woman who said, "I'm proud of you," in relation to Carti. During this time, Iggy was at home apparently waiting for Carti to, come over and spend Christmas with him, her son and Carti, right? But Carti apparently had other plans. And according to Iggy, he decided to, poof, ghost him. And Iggy said that she wasn't having it. She said, "I was gonna keep it cute and let you live, but nah, not after I peeped that trifling shit." Trifling. She followed this up by saying, "I would never decide to do something of my own free will. That meant missing a milestone moment with my son. And if you do, you're trash," Iggy said. Iggy then went on to explain that they had a family vacation planned together just 48 hours before this, but Carti had other plans. "This man had a whole family vacation planned 48 hours ago, and I hope this message gets to you, girl," she said. She didn't hold back, adding, "Although you hid in a closet from a housekeeper, so it's not like you have any dignity, I guess." Iggy also revealed something else that shocked a lot of people. She claimed that when she was about to give birth to their son, Carti was apparently in Philadelphia, playing video games with rapper Lil Uzi Vert. She also stated that Carti refused to sign the birth certificate for their son. Now, I don't know why he wouldn't do that unless, of course, he had suspicions that the child wasn't his. And if that was the case, I guess it would make sense, right? Now, all this allegedly happened during the pandemic. According to Iggy, Carti was the only one listed as a visitor on the hospital records, yet he didn't show up.
This man didn't even come to see his son be born. He went to Philly to play the PlayStation with little Uzi.
As of today, their co-parenting situation is very much one-sided, according to Iggy. In the summer of 2024, Iggy did an interview with actor Jesse Tyler Ferguson, where she openly stated that she was very much a single mother and the only active parent in their child's life.
I'm very much a single mother.
Do you,
I'm very much the only parent.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but
Yes.
I am not co-parenting really, and
I totally
that's
get
just
it.
the reality of
Yeah,
it. It's 24/7.
This entire drama between Iggy and Carti definitely shaped the public's negative perception of Carti. However, Carti has never publicly responded to any of these allegations. Carti is one of those rappers who values the, so-called aura over everything. He doesn't say too much and is kind of elusive and mysterious, and so him speaking about things or responding in any way would take away from that allure, which is something that directly fuels his success. So I guess it kind of makes sense why he didn't respond. But then again, I'm thinking you would want to make it clear that she's lying if, she's lying about you being a deadbeat, right? What are the odds that Iggy isn't telling the truth? Well, I think she might have been, spicing things up during her Twitter tirade, but honestly, I don't think she's lying about being a single mother, and that's just my personal assessment of the situation. And about that, by the way, there's just so much trauma and pain being passed down to kids without fathers, and, this is something I feel very strongly about. If you're grown enough to, shoot up the club without a silencer, you better be, ready to protect the club too, i.e. be there for the child, right? Aside from the deadbeat accusations and his tumultuous relationship with Iggy, we also have his December 2022 arrest, so let's talk about that. On December 20, 2022, Playboi Carti was arrested in Georgia for allegedly choking his pregnant girlfriend following an argument over a paternity test. Here's what allegedly went down. On December 20, 2022, just a few days before Christmas, a woman who had been in a relationship with Playboi Carti for 2 years and had been living with him since July 2022 called the cops after an argument turned physical. And this is the body cam footage from that situation.
So basically, does she have a relationship with the person who lives here?
That's between, I don't know that. That's not something that I can disclose because I've signed a disclosure form. So whatever, I can't disclose any information, I'm sorry. That's the thing.
You're hindering the investigation.
I understand what you're saying,
okay.
but
Just
if you've
right
ever had non-disclosure form, then you would know. If you want to look it up, you would know that I can't discuss anything unless
Not
I
even to state authorities or officers, right?
I would have to get my lawyer on the phone.
Okay.
In order to.
Is that your lawyer?
No,
Okay,
it's
well,
not.
you
But I
can
can
hang
get
up
them.
the phone because she's not a part of this.
So that's what I'm saying. Oh, yep.
The woman arrived at 3750 Tuxedo Road, Northwest, in Atlanta, to talk to Playboi Carti, whose real name is Jordan Carter. She wanted to discuss their baby and a paternity test, as she was 14 weeks pregnant. Things ended up taking a dark turn. According to her, the conversation escalated when Carti suddenly attacked, grabbing her by the throat, and forcefully pushing her into the bushes outside their home. She described the terrifying moment, saying she could barely breathe, and honestly feared for her life, convinced she was gonna die in that moment.
What do you mean by he attacked you? Like how?
Jumped on me, choked me.
Today you guys were supposed to see each other. Did he know that you were pregnant?
Yeah, I'm almost 4 months now.
Okay, so you
So
came
he
here
came
today.
to my house
You came here today to talk or
to see what
hang
the
out?
problem was, but it escalated.
There were reportedly 2 other men at the home who stood by and did nothing to intervene, allowing the situation to escalate. However, only the female witness stepped in, attempting to break up the fight. Despite her efforts, Carti allegedly kept his grip on a victim's neck, refusing to let go. When she finally broke free and rushed to her car, hoping to escape, Carti allegedly followed her and launched another attack. He allegedly tried to pull her out of the car, even placing his hand over her mouth as she frantically tried to call for help. In a desperate attempt to get assistance, she used the vehicle's SOS feature to call the police, knowing she needed help immediately. When the police eventually arrived, the woman went over everything that happened in detail, including how Carti grabbed her by the throat, pushing her, and held her neck so tightly she could barely breathe. She explained how she feared for her life in that moment, genuinely believing she was going to die. And here's the interesting part. When the cops arrived, according to official court documents, they noted that the woman had visible injuries to her, neck, chest, and then her back. Essentially, she was all bruised up, showing immediate physical damage of what had just happened to her. Like we stated, this all went down on December 20, 2022, leading to Carti's arrest. However, it was only reported to the public on February 14, 2023. Carti was charged with felony aggravated assault and hindering a person from making an emergency telephone call. After being processed, he was eventually released on a $100,000 bond. His lawyer at the time stated, "Mr. Carter was falsely accused. Based on my communications with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, this case will be dismissed without any prosecution or litigation." Iggy Azalea back then spoke on it publicly, saying the following: "Imagine having a pregnant girlfriend and pretending they don't exist until it comes out you like to abuse them too, and rarely visiting your actual son unless it's because you're running from whatever problems you got going on in Atlanta and the press with your serial abuse of women." So these are, 2 major stories that have made people question Carti's character, and, these are some very questionable things we covered in this video. Now, the deadbeat allegations, wouldn't be the first time a man, doesn't want to live up to the parent title. Happens every day. Something that's, way too common, unfortunately. Particularly in the case with Iggy. Obviously, they had their own whole host of issues, which led to some of the outcomes we spoke about. Sometimes you kind of look at these celebrity relationships and you're like, y'all should have never actually been together. Y'all should have never had a child together. And this is one of those situations, if you ask me. Perhaps Iggy and Carti were just in lust, okay? And probably not in love. That's just what I think. I don't know. Maybe they were in love. I don't know. And then we have the abuse allegations, which isn't too uncommon for a rapper, unfortunately. Just taking a look at the body cam of the story, honestly, it doesn't really look like this woman is lying to me. She's not exaggerating anything. As a matter of fact, I watched the body cam footage and she was actually holding back on a lot of information, presumably because she didn't want to get him in trouble. And then by the time she called them over, she realized that, they were going to do their own investigation of the situation. So at that point, she couldn't really do too much to protect Carti. Carti was accused of some very heinous things by this woman as well. Now, is Carti a good guy or not a good guy? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to think, but when you have these types of allegations against you, it's definitely, on the questionable side of things. Let's just put it like that. If you made it this far, you can't leave this video without dropping a like. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're new here, my name is Blacky Speaks. Nice to meet you. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family. Any thoughts on this conversation surrounding Playboi Carti and whether or not he's a, bad person, I guess, right? Curious to hear what you guys have to say. What's your personal assessment of Carti's character? Really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Catch you guys in the comment section below, but most importantly of all, catch you guys in the next video. Peace. I'm out.